Gonna start recording. What's up, YouTube? We finna react to the kids who hacked Xbox. I used to play on Xbox, so I wanna wonder what happened. I tried to install mods on
This is
Xbox and
David Pecora.
everything, but
He's
it
22
sounded
years
like
old,
they
has
completely
shoulder
hacked
length
it.
blonde hair, and studies computer science. His online names are Xenon and Xenomega. He's part of the Xbox community, tweaking consoles and creating cheats for games like Halo and Call of Duty. Right now, he has an annoying problem. The bumper of his car is broken, and the dealer refuses to ship the parts to Canada. So he asks his friend Justin, who lives in the US, if he can order the new bumper to his house. They met each other years ago on the internet. Justin lives in Wilmington, about an 8-hour drive away. David's plan is to drive there, get the bumper, maybe grab something to eat together, and head back home. His dad offers to tag along so they can take turns driving. They take the family car. About an hour later, David and his dad get to the border. The US border officer checks their passports. He's about to wave them through when he sees a strange name on his display. "What's Xenon?" the officer asks.
Xenon.
David flinches. That's his online name. But why on earth does it pop up here at the passport control? Two figures in dark uniforms approach the vehicle. They pull their weapons and tell him to step out of the car. David gets arrested. He walked right into a trap. The thing is, David may have done more than tweaking consoles and coding cheats.
Hmm.
The FBI has been after him for years. He's part of a hacker gang that will become to known as the Xbox Underground. They are responsible for an
Okay. So
unprecedented
the
series of
FBI
cyber
set
attacks
them up.
on some of the biggest tech firms on the planet.
I'm I'm guessing hack this stuff
They stole
so
thousands of
it
login
shows up on
credentials,
the border.
heisted the source code of unpublished games, and hacked into confidential US military simulations. They didn't do it on behalf of some government
Whoa,
agents.
what
Hacked
he
into
do?
confidential US military credentials, heisted the source code of unpublished games, and hacked into confidential US military simulations.
So he
They
hacked
didn't do it
into
on
the
behalf of
U.S.
some government agency.
into the
Sometimes they didn't
U.S.
even make money with it. They were
information.
just a bunch of teenagers.
Wait, so if you hack Xbox, you can go into that. You can go into that deep of like the U.S. stuff. Is Xbox that famous or like going into the army? The army uses Xbox.
This entire story is based on the fabulous Wired article and a double episode of the highly recommendable podcast, Darknet Diaries. You'll find the links in the description. David was always destined to become a hacker. He's still in elementary school when he builds his own little web browser. He simply teaches himself how to code. In 2001, David's world and that of countless other kids changes forever. The OG Xbox is released.
For the first time, let me now unveil Xbox.
Back then, the Xbox marks a technological milestone, a bunch of high-end hardware packed into a massive black casing. The black and green dashboard and the ridiculously oversized controller kind of give off nuclear
Man,
reactor vibes.
I ain't
It's a
never played an
completely new
old
aesthetic
Xbox
at the
before,
time.
but
David gets one and hopelessly
low
falls in
key,
love
I
with
could.
Halo.
I wish I
But he's
could,
not just a
bro.
passionate gamer. He's fascinated by the Xbox's tech. He becomes part of the fast-growing online community
I played
of
the
like-minded
Xbox
nerds.
360 before.
They crack their consoles and get their own software running. They stream music, install Linux, and even manage to boot up Nintendo games. David is extremely talented and quickly gains cred in the scene. He starts writing programs for Halo that let you tweak the physics
Yo,
or
what's
even the
up?
weather
What's
in the
up?
game.
Follow.
Then, in
Did you
2005, the
did it show
Xbox
my
360 drops and changes everything. Again,
the follow
Microsoft learned
the
from its
follow
mistakes
alert? Cause
and
I set
bolstered the
that up
console's security.
and I heard it. I think
To
I
hack the
heard it.
new Xbox, you need a development kit. That's a special console with extra features just for developers. These
But
dev kits are
thanks for the
incredibly hard
follow.
to get. Developers need to be verified by Microsoft to have one. For everyone else, they're strictly off limits. It takes a while, but eventually a few dev kits start popping up online. Someone has found thousands of them at a recycling yard. Microsoft must have tried to trash them, but now someone is making money by selling them.
That's
In
smart.
2008, David acquires
That's what
several of
people
these
still
dev kits
do.
for himself
They
and
still go
resells
to
a
the
few.
garbage cans and
This is
find
how he meets
what
Justin May,
people
his
throwing away,
buddy from
like what they
Wilmington.
did at Toys R Us.
Online, Justin
By
goes
the
by
way,
MTW.
I do some cool
The
art.
dev kit gives David
So,
access to PartnerNet, a closed
I'll show you
platform where
some.
Xbox developers upload test versions of their games.
Some cool
He
art.
spends his nights scouring
What type
PartnerNet,
of art you do?
posting screenshots of unreleased games, and
What
making a
type
name
of
for
art?
himself in online forums. He starts showing up late to school. His grades are slipping. But he thinks, what if this is my ticket to a career in game development? In 2010, David catches the attention of a guy named Dylan Wheeler. Dylan is 14 and lives in Perth, Australia. He has long brown hair
I'm
and is
gonna
in the middle of puberty.
I'm gonna put
He
it in
loves a
my
good thrill
Discord, and
and
you
got into
can
hacking
send it
early
in
on.
my Discord.
In high school, Dylan got suspended for hacking into the school's network. But he doesn't like to be told what to do, so he hacked the network again
I gotta make a new
and got
Discord
suspended
because
again.
I had
He's
one
fascinated
Discord.
by what David and others are doing with the Xbox and wants in
Well,
on
I
the
started
action,
helping
so he
TikTok
signs
and
up to the
everything.
Xbox hacking forum. His online moniker is Superday.
I'm gonna put my
That
Discord
same
in the
year,
chat,
2010, another
so
Xbox 360 dev kit
you
ends up in the
can
hands
join
of
it.
Sanad Nishiwa.
I'm gonna have to make another one.
Sanad is 24, lives in Washington, New Jersey, and is a true tech enthusiast. He started gaming by 8. By 12, he was taking apart entire consoles. His room is packed with electronics. His desk is covered by a soldering iron, an oscilloscope, and all sorts of electronic parts.
Yeah, he went
dives
deep
into
into
the
gaming.
Xbox scene
It was
and
probably
calls
trying to
himself
figure out
Sonic.
like how the game was
It's an
made.
incredibly exciting time for David, Justin, Dylan, Sanad, and many others. PartnerNet is an absolute goldmine. They get to play new games months before their release, completely free of charge. But at some point, they start getting into trouble with real developers on the platform. In 2009, David finds a way to use cheats for the brand new Call of Duty game. He sets up a server and charges users for using his cheats. $100 per 30 minutes. Players can walk through walls and fire without ever missing a shot.
Okay,
The
I
cheat
just
business is a huge success. David quickly makes up to $8,000 a day. He takes his
made a
girlfriend to
new-
fancy restaurants and
I
stays
just
in
made a new
luxury
Discord.
hotels.
We gonna pause that real quick. Add me, Loki. I don't feel like adding nobody for real. I would, but I'm gonna just give it some time. I'm gonna add you soon though. I'm gonna just give it some time. Where's Twitch at? I ain't got my Twitch. So I do. That's my Discord. I just made it.
Activision, the developer behind Call of Duty, catches wind of David's scheme. They send him cease and desist letters and threaten to sue. But David doesn't respond. They're just video games, he thinks. It's not like he's hacking into servers and stealing information. Well, not yet. The Xbox Underground
Not
story
yet.
is so insane, it would definitely deserve its own website. You know who also deserves their own website? You. A portfolio site is a great way to present yourself and your skills. There are many tools to accomplish just that, but none quite like Odoo's website builder. Start by setting up the structure of your site, add pages and features, choose your color palette, and pick your theme. Then simply drag and drop blocks to add content, like your recent work. You can customize each block, add images, animations, etc. No need to worry
Making
about
this own
text either.
website.
Odoo has integrated ChatGPT to assist you with any copywriting. It really couldn't be easier, and everything looks polished and works like a charm. You also get a custom domain free for the first year, along with unlimited hosting and support. And Odoo is so much more. An all-in-one management plus got
Uh,
friend, melodrama, game.
that
One night, Dylan gets a
was an
message from an online
advertisement.
friend named GamerFreak1727.
That was a promotion.
It
That was
contains a
promotion.
list of usernames and matching email addresses and passwords, all taken from a forum run by game developer Epic Games. At the time, Epic is mostly known
Whoa.
for Unreal Tournament and Gears of War. Dylan checks
I
the
remember
list
Gears
and
of
finds
War.
the login credentials of an
I used
IT
to play that
employee
game.
at Epic
When
Games.
you die in that game,
He
that
wonders if
the
that
end
person
screen,
uses the
that
same
used to
password
be
on other
hell
sites.
used to scare me.
He tries to log in to the employee's Gmail account, and it works. He combs through the inbox and finds another password, admin060606. It gives him access to an internal network at Epic Games. Dylan sends David a message to tell him about his find. David is hooked. One of the servers are hosting unreleased games. He knows that what they're doing is illegal, so he sets himself some limits. No looking at customer data or credit card information. He's only interested in the games. David and Dylan spend months rummaging through the Epic servers on the hunt for anything interesting.
So he's so deep into games that he decided to hack Epic Games and get unreleased games and just play the games. That's that's some game fiends
And
shit.
sure enough, they
That's
eventually
some
find
game
something,
fiend.
an early build of Gears of War
Okay,
3,
I play games a lot,
complete with
but I
source
wouldn't
code.
play it that
They
much to the
can't believe
point
their
where
luck.
I will
They're on the
hack
verge of playing
something
one of the most
just to
anticipated
play
games of the
more
year,
games.
months before anyone else. They message Sanad to let him in on their discovery. He has a hacked modem at home that lets him cover up his IP address, so he can download the game without getting caught. Sanad logs into Epic's network and grabs the files. It's hundreds of gigabytes of data. He stays up all night until the download finally completes. He's too excited to go to sleep. He burns the data onto 8 Blu-rays and mails them to David. He writes the words wedding videos on the package. David receives the package and tries the game. The build is still pretty raw. A lot of the textures are missing. It's not
That's
really
Gears of
playable
War.
at this stage. David sends the game
That's
to the
Gears of War.
others, including Justin. Just a few days later, the game appears online as a public download. The leak makes headlines everywhere.
Last
Yep.
week, Gears of War 3 was leaked on the web. Gears developer Epic Games confirmed that this is not the final build of the game
Oh,
and
it's
warned people that downloading the
not.
title may actually melt your system.
No, I don't
Not
think
sure
I
if
played
that's
that.
true, but
I don't
scare
think I
tactics
played that
aside,
part.
don't pirate.
I don't think I
Pirating
played that
sucks.
Gears of
The
War.
guys are still snooping around the Epic Games network when they stumble upon a very unsettling email. Epic Games has called the FBI because of the leak, but it seems the feds are not onto them yet. David is freaking out. He asks Justin to help him crypt his hard drives. Sanad decides to lay low and wait for things to calm down. Dylan, however, doesn't care about the FBI. He keeps logging into the
I
servers
got you
while the
later. I'm
feds are
gonna add you
actively
later.
scanning them to
I
find the
got you later.
hackers. His ballsiness pays off. Dylan finds a USB drive connected to the network, and on that drive he finds a list of all the company's important access credentials. Dylan now has full access to Epic's network. From that point on, he logs into the network every single day. He roams around the PCs of Epic employees and taps their webcams. He sits at his computer in Australia
Wait,
and watches them in real
did you
time while they
did you
move
show
around the
me? Did
office
you
or
send
sit
that
in
art
meetings.
in the Discord?
He mostly exploits
You
human
should be able to
errors.
send the
He
art.
searches data breaches for login credentials and then tries them on other sites. Eventually, he manages to also hack into the network of other companies. Dylan is on a serious hacking spree. David and Sanad find out what he is doing and jump back in. They just can't resist. One by one, they hack the networks of tech giants like Microsoft, EA, Bungie,
Oh
Blizzard,
yeah,
Valve, and Activision.
they went
They
into
keep digging deeper
Microsoft.
and
Best
deeper,
believe they gonna get
downloading
caught.
more and more
You
unreleased
know how
games.
good
It's like
Microsoft
a fever
security
dream.
is, even back then. That's like a whole. They got their own
The
stuff.
guys have been hacking their way through the
It's
gaming industry
Microsoft,
for almost a year now. From time to
and they
time,
got
they're also making money off of it. David starts selling the jacked and unreleased games to a
is
user
it Bill
called
Gates?
Xbox Dev Guy.
Nah,
The
nah,
contact
nah,
is
nah, nah.
established via Justin.
They
But
got.
deep down, they're still just a
I
bunch of
forgot
gaming
his
fans.
name,
They invite
bro.
their friends over to show their new video games. They never reveal where they get them from. They're a small and tight-knit group, but they can't always keep the excitement to themselves. So every now and then, word gets out to the wider scene. And every time that happens, new people want in on the action. 2 new faces join the group. Austin Alcala is a 16-year-old high school student from Accordsville, Indiana. He's tall, rather shy and reserved. Online, he goes by AA Monkey. The second newbie is Nathan LaRue, an 18-year-old from Bowie, Maryland. His dad works as a diesel mechanic, and his mom is busy homeschooling him. Nathan has written a program to fake FIFA coins and dreams of becoming a proper game developer someday.
Oh, so
Online, he
they
calls
hack
himself Anime
people.
Freak. The group expands their hacking activities, and their virtual break-ins
Anime
move
Freak
further and
is
further away
wicked.
from gaming. AMD, Intel, Disney, Warner Brothers, and Google.
They're
They
hacking
end up infiltrating the
everything.
servers of almost 25 companies, all of them major corporations.
Yup, definitely Google.
A late summer evening in 2012, Austin and Nathan are poking around the servers of Zombie Studios, a developer known for war games like the Spec Ops series. They discover a tunnel that leads them straight to a US military server. The drives host a new game Zombie Studios is working on, AH-64D, Apache Simulator, a flight simulator commissioned by the US Department of Defense. They hesitate. This is bigger than anything they have found so far, and much more dangerous. Curiosity ends up getting the best of them, and they download the game. The group is at its peak. They've been active for over 2 years. They've gone places no one else could. David, Dylan, Sanad, Austin, and Nathan have become the core of the group.
Okay, bro.
Others are
let's
loosely
go
involved
see
in
it.
individual hacks.
Alright.
Altogether, there are almost a dozen
Make sure you
strong
join
now.
my next stream.
They're aware that everything that they have done
Or you
could
can
already
join
land
later
them
on
in
because I
jail,
should be streaming later
but they
on.
just can't stop. They joke about
You
what they'll
play
call their
games
gang in
then.
prison. Xbox Underground sounds pretty badass, they think. They laugh at the idea, but not for much longer. Justin, aka MTW, was an early member of the group. He met David when he bought the Xbox 360 dev kit from him a few years ahead of the Epic Games hack. Justin was directly involved in many of their operations. A few days before Gears of War 3 was leaked, Justin got the game from the others in the group. Some of them, like Sanad, suspected that he was the one who put it online. Justin is almost 3 years older than David, but compared to him, he's a lot less cautious. In 2010, Justin attends PAX East, a video game convention in Boston. He gets calls from Sanad and a few others in the group. They ask him if he can hack into one of the networks on site. Maybe he'll find something interesting. No big deal if not. Justin gives it a try, but doesn't find a breach to exploit. The network is too secure. He's not ready to give it up, though. He walks around the convention center and finds the stand of a small developer called Atomic Games. They're showcasing a new shooter called Breach. Justin waits until one of the employees heads to the bathroom. Then he sneaks behind the stand and secretly tries to download the game onto his laptop. But the employee comes back sooner than expected. At just 14 megabytes, Justin has to cancel the download and make a run for it. 2 Atomic employees chase after him and quickly catch him. They take him to the police.
Yeah, he got caught.
During the arrest, Justin tries to bribe the officers. He offers them $100 if they let him go. During the interrogation, he openly admits he was trying to steal the game. He repeatedly tells the cops that he has names of people bigger and more important than himself. When the others hear about the arrest, they get suspicious. What if Justin has been talking to the cops? He loses their trust. He disappears for a while, but eventually gets back in touch, trying to regain their trust. Now he is scamming companies like Cisco, Microsoft, and Lenovo with a return fraud scheme. Someone like that couldn't possibly be working with the cops. Some in the group, like David and Dylan, are thinking. Others, like Sanad, remain skeptical. After some time, Justin manages to get back on board. Back to August 2012, David and Dylan are poking around Microsoft servers. They come across a folder that seems pretty well protected. Looks like only a few developers have access to it. Maybe the company is working on some super secret project, they think. They download the folder and find a bunch of technical documents. Some pics of circuit boards and casings, source code, all that kind of stuff. They wonder what all of this could be for, and they quickly piece it together. They found the plans for the upcoming Xbox console, codename Durango. It'll later be called the Xbox One.
Yeah, that's the Xbox
ponder
One.
what to do with
Dang,
the
they've been
plans.
doing this since the
They could
Xbox
sell them
One
to
came
others,
out. That's
or
like,
they could try to build the
I don't
console
know how many
themselves.
years, but that's a good
All
couple
parts seem to be
years.
available on the market. They order the parts online and have everything shipped to Nathan's house. He volunteers to assemble the gaming console, and it works. The group now has a working prototype of the new Xbox, but no games to test it with, so they decide to sell it.
So they built the
They find a buyer in the
Xbox.
Seychelles who is willing to pay $5,000. The buyer transfers the money, and the group discusses who is going to ship the console to him. Justin steps up. He offers to take it to the post office. The group agrees. Justin drives from Delaware to
So
Bowie,
Justin,
about a
that
2-hour
man doing
ride,
everything
and picks up
really.
the console at Nathan's place.
He should be the leader.
But the package never makes it to the Seychelles. They start to get nervous. What if the FBI has intercepted the package? After the sale falls through, Dylan decides to upload the pictures of their prototype online, just to see what happens. He doesn't consult with the others. That means the Xbox prototype is now seemingly publicly up for auction on eBay. By now, Dylan is already known for his impulsive actions. In early 2012, he got drunk, called Epic Games, and confessed to hacking their servers. He explained to the employees over the phone how he did it and asked for a poster as a reward. He actually got one. This time, things get even worse. The eBay auction goes viral. In no time, bids reach over $20,000. But the sale doesn't go through because Microsoft files a copyright claim. Dylan, who set up the auction under his online name, Superday, starts giving online interviews.
We have someone who's gotten pretty world-renowned over the past couple of weeks here. I'm just gonna go straight to the chase here. His name is Dylan. Most people probably know him by his moniker Superday. He's gotten himself into a little bit of trouble with Microsoft and trying to, I guess he's taking the hacking community by storm. Dylan, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Sanad and David are pissed at Dylan. Really pissed. After leaving traces all over the internet, this kind of attention is the last thing they need. David cuts off all ties with Dylan. The only ones even more pissed are the people at Microsoft. The investigation picks up speed. Just weeks after the auction, the FBI raids Nathan's, aka Anime Freak's, house and arrest him. Sanad z2a0y, aka Sonic, tries to distance himself from the group, but his house gets raided too. He sends a copy of the search warrant to others in the group, including Dylan. Dylan then posts the name of the agents who raided Sanad's house online. He publicly threatens to send hitmen after them, a statement he later regrets. In February 2013, Dylan Wheeler, also known as Super Day, is finally arrested by Australian authorities. Austin has learned from Nathan how to fake FIFA coins and turned it into a business. Justin is involved in scams of his own. Both of them lay low for a while. David also keeps a low profile in Canada after he learns about the string of arrests. Well, at least until he gets a chance to snag an actual prototype of the new Xbox.
Chapter 5, Person 8. That's Chapter
David
5.
is at a concert
Chapter
when he gets
4.
a call from Austin. Austin tells him about an 18-year-old hacker named Armin, aka Armin the Cyber. Armin claims to have access to Microsoft Campus and offers them a deal. He will sneak in and steal a real Durango prototype, in exchange for some Microsoft server credentials and a few $1,000s. David thinks Armin is nuts, but again, his curiosity gets the better of him, and he agrees. At 9 p.m., Armin drives his car to Microsoft Campus. He's wearing a sweater with the company logo and carrying a big backpack. He has cloned some employee's access card and has no trouble getting in. The premises are enormous, but Armin knows his way around by now. For almost a year, he has been frequently sneaking into the buildings and dreaming of what it would actually be like to work there. He is a huge fan of Microsoft. He has even applied for a job, but has not heard back yet. Armin enters one of the office buildings. He is nervous. He's been there many times, but never to steal anything. There's still a few people around. Whenever he hears footsteps approaching, he hides. He eventually finds what he's looking for in one of the open plan offices on the 3rd floor. His hands are shaking as he stuffs 3 Xbox prototypes into his backpack. He sneaks out of the building, leaves the premises, and drives back home. He sends 2 of the consoles to David and Austin and keeps one for himself. Just a week after his break-in, Armin gets a call. It's Microsoft. They reviewed his application. He's got the job. It's a dream come true. But only a couple of weeks later, Armin loses the job.
Without notice.
Surveillance cameras have caught him stealing the prototypes. He's taken into custody. In January 2014, Austin Alcala, aka AA Monkey, is arrested at his house by 4 FBI agents. In March, David Pecora, Xenomega, gets arrested at the US border.
How did they get his
David,
username
Sanad,
up
Austin,
on
and Nathan stand trial together in the US. Meanwhile, on the other side of the globe, Dylan is also facing charges. The group is accused of identity theft, fraud, and conspiracy to steal millions of dollars worth of intellectual property. The indictment is extremely detailed. The FBI must have been building the case for a long time. There are chat logs and transcripts of personal conversations dating back to the first Epic Games hack in 2011. In court, prosecutors even play audio recordings that must have been secretly made during their hacking sessions.
But the funny thing is, I still have root access to all their computers because I signed in yesterday.
So he knowingly logs into Epic, knowing that that's still there.
What do you mean?
Like, he in the emails, like they were emailing FBI people, and he knows that they talk to each other, but he still manages to not care.
I have it to the U.S. military. I have it to the Australian Department of Defense. I have every single big company: Intel, AMD, Nvidia.
They saying that like that's a good thing. They bragging about it.
The indictment repeatedly mentions Person A. Person A provided most of the evidence for the FBI. Person A allegedly helped David encrypt his hard drive and sell unreleased games to a user named Xbox Dev Guy. Person A is also said to have delivered a self-made prototype of the new Xbox to the FBI.
I get a copy of the indictment, and I start reading about Person A from Wilmington, Delaware. We all only knew one person from Wilmington, Delaware. Justin.
Justin. All signs point to him being an informant of the FBI. Did he cut a deal with the police after the incident at the convention? Is that how he got away with all of his scams? No one knows for sure. The guys in the US plead guilty. They all have very different ways of coping with the conviction. David is cooperative. He helps the investigators understand how they bypass the systems of billion-dollar corporations. The officers are pretty impressed by the 23-year-old's skills. He spends 18 months in prison. After getting out, he finishes college and starts working for cybersecurity firms. Austin gets 3 years probation. He doesn't serve a single day in jail because he agrees to help the FBI with another fraud case involving fake FIFA coins. He later becomes the head of cybersecurity at a social media startup. Sanad serves the same sentence as David, 18 months. He too gets out, but the following years are very hard on him. He starts working at a vape store and goes to college. But his probation officer bans him from using a computer and constantly harasses him.
Everything that I would ever ask her would always be a no. Like, for example, like I would want to go down and see, my sister in Virginia or something, and it's no. It could be, she would come up with the craziest reasons to why she wouldn't let me do anything.
Sanad became more and more isolated and eventually slips into depression. Seeing no prospects for himself, he turns to drugs. His probation officer sees this as a violation of his probation terms. She drags him before a judge, who sentences Sanad to another 9 months behind bars. In 2019, Sanad's probation for his second sentence ends, and for the first time in years, he's allowed to use a computer. He's now clean and living with his sister. Nathan is terrified of having to go to jail. He's one of the youngest in the group and a gentle person. Of all of them, he was the least involved in the hacks. Nathan applies for bail until the verdict is final. He gets an ankle monitor and is allowed to stay with his parents, but the thought of what awaits him in prison eats him up. One day, he cuts off the ankle monitor and tries to flee. He pays a friend to drive him to the Canadian border, but the police catch him at the border checkpoint. Nathan panics. He jumps out of the car and runs across the bridge towards the border, but the cops catch him. He is desperate and considers jumping off the bridge. Then he pulls out a knife and injures himself until he collapses. He survives and is almost immediately taken back to jail. This
You
time
could have
serving a
just
2-year
kept the.
sentence.
You could have just
Shortly
kept
before
that
his release,
ankle monitor
Nathan
on.
comes
Now
out as
you got
trans
more
and is
years
now
than
Holly.
all of them.
The time in prison must have been awful. Just a year after their release, Holly takes their own life.
Come on, bro. You could have
In
got out.
Australia,
You
Dylan
could
is
have.
the only
You was
one who pleads
already
not
out. You
guilty.
had a. You was on
This leads to
probation,
a
bro.
series of court cases that drag on for over 3 years.
I guess I pled not guilty to the sense that they tried to hit me with everything when it wasn't everything that I did. At the start, they put a lot of false charges on me.
Dylan is ordered to surrender his passport, but instead he heads to the airport and flies to the Czech Republic. He has Czech citizenship because his mother is from there. Shortly after, Dylan's mother is sentenced to 18 months in prison for aiding his escape. Dylan claims that his mother neither drove him to the airport nor sent him money.
Yeah, it's kind of the harsh reality of everything. Someone's got to go down for something.
Dylan moved to the UK, where he established a cybersecurity firm and gave talks on security-related topics.
I'm not hiding, because I'm not doing anything wrong. I did something when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, an underage teenager. It was wrong. I learned from that.
In March 2020, Dylan shuts down his company. There's been no trace of him since. In 2017, when almost all members of the Xbox Underground had served their sentences, the police finally arrest Justin May. The authorities seized a brand new BMW and nearly $40,000 in cash. In 2021, he was convicted of fraud, fencing, tax evasion, and money laundering. He was sentenced to almost 8 years in prison and fined $4 million.
8 years? Okay, so he got the highest. 4 mil? Okay. That was person A. So person A, yeah. They made him 8 years in prison. 6 months, 18 months. See, he was only on probation. I don't know why he did that.